Imagine a small rectangular object. It is 3 3/8 inches wide by 2 1/8 inches high. It is made of polyvinyl chloride acetate. It is smooth to the touch, often embossed with raised silver or gold numbers that catch the light. It sits innocently in a leather wallet or a back pocket, weighing less than 5 grams. It seems like a tool. It seems like a bridge to the things you want, the things you need, or the things you simply feel you deserve after a long, hard week. But for millions of people, this piece of plastic is not a bridge. It is a shackle. We are here to talk about a specific phenomenon. We are not talking about reckless spending, luxury vacations, or buying sports cars on a whim. We are talking about a subtle, mathematical trap that is designed to be invisible until it is too late. We are talking about the credit card mistake that never lets go. It is a mistake born not of malice, but of misunderstanding. It is the reliance on the minimum payment combined with the catastrophic power of compound interest. It is a financial gravity well that pulls you in slowly, almost imperceptibly, until the weight of it crushes the air out of your lungs. Let us paint a scene. Picture a young professional. Let's call him David. David is responsible. He has a job, an apartment, and a future. One afternoon, his car breaks down. The transmission is shot. The mechanic, wiping grease from his hands with a red rag, tells David it will cost $3,000 to fix. David doesn't have $3,000 in cash, but he has that piece of plastic. He swipes it. The machine beeps. The transaction is approved. He feels a wave of relief. He can drive to work tomorrow. The crisis is averted. A month later, the statement arrives. He opens the envelope or clicks the notification on his phone. He sees the balance, $3,000. But then his eyes drift down to the box that the credit card issuers have carefully designed to be the most comforting part of the document, the minimum payment due. It is a small, manageable number. Perhaps it is only $75. David looks at his bank account. He looks at his rent due next week. He thinks, I can handle $75. I'll pay the minimum this month, and I'll tackle the rest later when things settle down. That thought, I'll tackle the rest later, is the mistake. That single decision is the seed of a financial sequoia that will cast a shadow over his life for decades. Because David does not understand how the algorithm works. He does not see the invisible machinery gears grinding beneath that $75 figure.
Here is the reality of the math. The credit card company is not your friend. They are not lending you money because they believe in your potential. They are lending you money because you are a revenue stream. When David pays that $75, he assumes he is chipping away at the debt. He imagines a bucket of water, and he has just ladled out a cup. But the bucket has a hose attached to it, refilling it constantly. That hose is the annual percentage rate, or APR. Let's say David's card has an average interest rate of 25%.
Because he is already allocating cash flow to service the old debt, he has less liquidity to handle new problems. So the card comes out again. The balance grows from $3,000 to $4,000. The minimum payment creeps up slightly, perhaps to $90. It still feels manageable. But now the interest ratio has shifted even further against him. He is now treading water in the middle of the ocean, and the shoreline is drifting further away. This situation creates a psychological state known as debt fatigue. When you work hard, pick up overtime shifts, and make sacrifices, yet see your balance decrease by only a fraction of a percent, a sense of hopelessness sets in. You look at the statement and think, why bother? This is the danger zone. This is where the mistake solidifies into a lifestyle. When the brain decides that the goal is unachievable, it stops trying. David might start spending more freely on the card, thinking, I'm already in the hole, what's another $50 for dinner? This is exactly where the credit card issuers want you. They call people who pay their full balance every month deadbeats. That is the industry term, because they make no money off them. They want you to be a revolver. They want you revolving that debt month after month, year after year. You are the ideal customer. You are the golden goose. You are the indentured servant who thinks he is a consumer. Now, let's analyze the external forces that keep this mistake locked in place. We must look at the credit score system. It is a paradox. To have a high credit score, you need to utilize credit. But if you utilize too much, your score drops. If you miss a payment, your score plummets. But here is the trap. If David decides to get serious and closes the account, his credit score might actually drop in the short term because his total available credit decreases. The system punishes him for trying to escape.
Furthermore, let's discuss the concept of residual interest, also known as trailing interest. This is the ghost in the machine. Suppose David comes into some money. He gets a tax refund. He decides to pay off the full $3,000. He logs in, sees the current balance, and pays it to the penny. He feels triumphant. He is free. But he isn't. Because interest accrues daily, there is a lag between the statement date and the payment date. The next month, he receives a bill for $12.40. He is confused. He thought he paid it off. If he ignores this small amount, thinking it's an error or negligible, he gets hit with a late fee. Now he owes $40. Then the interest hits that. Suddenly, he is back in the cycle. The mistake creates its own echoes. It refuses to die quietly.
We must also consider the opportunity cost. This is the invisible tragedy of the credit card trap. Every dollar David sends to the credit card company is a dollar that cannot work for him. It is a dollar that cannot be invested in the stock market, where it could compound in his favor. It is a dollar that cannot go toward a down payment on a house. Let's project this over 10 years. If David pays $200 a month in interest, just interest, not principal, that is $24,000 thrown into the void. If he had invested that money instead, with a modest return, he could have had $35,000 or $40,000. The swing in his net worth is not just the debt, it is the absence of wealth. The gap between where he is and where he could have been is massive. It is the price of a luxury car, or a college education, or a secure retirement. This mistake alters the trajectory of lives. It delays marriages. It delays children. It forces people to stay in jobs they hate because they cannot afford a month without a paycheck. It creates a low-level hum of anxiety that never shuts off. It wakes you up at 3 in the morning. It adds tension to relationships. Money fights are a leading cause of divorce, and nothing fuels a money fight like the pressure of high-interest debt that refuses to go down. So, how does the system sustain this? Through marketing that normalizes debt. We are bombarded with imagery that suggests the card is the key to the good life. The commercials never show the person sitting at the kitchen table at midnight, weeping over a calculator. They show the dinner party, the surprise gift, the moment of joy. They are selling the dopamine hit, but they are delivering the hangover. They offer rewards points and cash back as a lure. Earn 2% back, they scream. But if you are paying 25% interest, that 2% reward is a mathematical joke. It is like someone stealing your car and giving you a bus token as consolation. But we must not just analyze the darkness. We must look for the light. How does one break the grip of a mistake that never lets go? It requires a radical shift in mindset. It requires realizing that the minimum payment is a lie. The minimum payment is not a suggestion of what you should pay. It is the bare minimum required to keep the lawyers away. It is the financial equivalent of a life support system that keeps you alive but in a coma. To escape, David must stop looking at the monthly payment and start looking at the total balance. He must feel the weight of it. He has to get angry. Anger is a potent fuel for getting out of debt. Passive acceptance keeps you trapped. Righteous indignation breaks chains. He must decide that he will no longer be a source of profit for a faceless conglomerate.
He needs to employ the snowball method or the avalanche method. He needs to strip his budget down to the studs. He needs to sell things. He needs to work extra hours. He needs to throw every available dollar at the principal. He needs to attack the debt with the ferocity of a person fighting for their life, because in a very real economic sense, he is. He must also understand the terms of engagement. He needs to read the fine print. He needs to call the company and negotiate a lower rate, something many people don't realize is possible. He needs to transfer balances to 0% cards, provided he has the discipline to pay them off before the introductory period expires. He needs to stop the bleeding. The card must be cut up, physically destroyed. The temptation must be removed. The journey out of this mistake is not fast. It is a slog through mud. It is boring. It is frustrating. It requires saying no to friends, no to vacations, no to the little treats that make modern life bearable. But on the other side of that slog is freedom. Imagine the day the balance hit 0. Imagine David logging into his account and seeing no payment due. The silence in his head where the anxiety used to be. The realization that his paycheck belongs to him, not to a bank in Delaware. That feeling is worth more than any object the plastic could ever buy. But even then, the mistake tries to hold on. The offers will come in the mail. We miss you, David. You are pre-approved. 0% for 12 months. They want him back. They are like a toxic ex-partner who knows exactly what buttons to push. The credit card mistake never truly dies. It just goes dormant, waiting for a moment of weakness. It waits for another broken transmission. It waits for a moment of envy. It waits for a lapse in judgment. The only way to ensure it never returns is to fundamentally change one's relationship with money. It means understanding that if you cannot pay for it in cash, you cannot afford it. It means building an emergency fund so that when the car breaks, you are your own bank. It means realizing that the glossy plastic card is not a status symbol. It is a power tool that can cut off your hand if you don't know how to use it. This narrative is not just about David. It is about the millions of people currently walking through the mall or scrolling through online stores with a loaded weapon in their pocket. It is a warning. The system is rigged to keep you in the middle, not poor enough to default, but not rich enough to be free. It is designed to harvest your labor in the form of interest payments for the rest of your natural life.
We must look at this with clear eyes. We must teach this to the next generation. We do not teach credit card math in high school, and that is a tragedy. We send 18-year-olds onto college campuses where vendors are set up at tables offering free t-shirts in exchange for signing up for a card. It is a predator waiting for prey. They are signing away their future freedom for a piece of cotton that costs $2 to manufacture. The credit card mistake is insidious because it is clean. It happens in air-conditioned rooms. It involves nice stationery and polite customer service representatives. But make no mistake, it is a form of bondage. It restricts your movement. It dictates your choices. It eats your time. So, look at your wallet. Take out the card. Look at the numbers. Do not see them as a limit of what you can spend. See them as a countdown timer to a financial explosion. If you are in the trap, start climbing today. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait for a raise. Start with $5. Start with 10. Break the pattern of the minimum payment. If you are not in the trap, stay vigilant. The ice is thinner than it looks. The mistake is always waiting, patient and hungry. It relies on your optimism. It relies on your belief that tomorrow will be better. But regarding debt, tomorrow is only better if you take action today. The math does not care about your hopes. It only cares about your payments. Ultimately, the credit card mistake that never lets go is the one you underestimate. It is the one you think you can control while playing by their rules. You cannot beat the house by playing their game. You beat the house by walking out of the casino. You beat the house by refusing to play. You beat the house by owning your life, $1 at a time, until the chains rust and break, and you can finally, truly breathe. Remember the feeling of the rain on that Tuesday when the car broke down? Remember the panic? Use that. Let that fear drive you towards solvency. Let the memory of the stress be the guardian of your future. The mistake only holds on as long as you keep feeding it. Starve the debt. Feed your freedom. The choice, every single month, is yours.